Okay, so if you ask pretty much anyone, who invented the light bulb.
Yeah, Edison.
Right, Thomas Edison. But here's the twist we're exploring today. Edison, he created this incredible system, centralized power, the whole grid idea.
The big picture infrastructure.
Exactly. But the actual light bulb component, for years it was, well, kind of a flop, economically anyway. Burned out too fast, cost too much.
Precisely. Which meant the whole system couldn't really take off.
So today we're doing a deep dive. We want to challenge that simple narrative and really illuminate the genius who cracked the core problem, the person who made electric light actually viable.
Lewis Howard Latimer.
Lewis Latimer. Our mission is to unpack his contributions. He was largely self-taught, an amazing draftsman, an inventor.
And a true polymath, actually. He wrote poetry, painted. But yeah, his lighting work was transformative.
And we also need to look at the systemic reasons why his innovations, his intellectual property, kind of got absorbed into these huge industrial empires run by others.
It's a critical part of the story. So let's set the scene. Latimer was born in 1848, Chelsea, Massachusetts. His parents had actually self-emancipated from slavery.
Right, and their story, their capture and fight for freedom in Boston, that was a huge deal for the abolitionist movement back then.
Absolutely. And you have to think that background, that environment of defiance and resilience shaped him. He had limited formal schooling, basically self-educated after 5th grade.
Wow. And yet he mastered drafting. That's incredibly precise work.
He did. And that skill led him to a patent firm, Crosby and Gould. And here's a kicker. He drafted the patent drawings for Alexander Graham Bell's telephone.
No kidding, for the telephone patent.
Yep. And apparently his speed and precision were key. They got Bell's patent filed just hours before a competitor.
Wow. Okay, so right there, he establishes himself as someone who understands high-stakes IP. The guy you need when it really matters.
Exactly. He wasn't just a draftsman. He was already operating at a strategic level.
So he's got this IP expertise. How does that connect to the light bulb problem? Because before him, bulbs were just not great.
Not great is an understatement. People like Swan, even Edison's early versions, the filaments were incredibly fragile. Or they used things like platinum.
Super expensive, I imagine.
Astronomical. Made the bulbs costly and impractical. You couldn't build an empire on that. The core issue was finding a durable, cheap filament.
So the technical problem was really an economic one at its heart.
That's the crux of it. How do you mass produce something so delicate? Latimer figured this out while working for Edison's rival, Hiram Maxim.
Oh, interesting. Not even for Edison initially.
Not initially, no. At the U.S. Electric Lighting Company, his breakthrough was patented in 1882. It was called the process of manufacturing carbons.
Okay, so what was the genius move here? What did he figure out?
He was clever. He realized filaments weren't just breaking in use, but a lot during the manufacturing, the carbonization process itself, which involves intense heat.
Right.
So Latimer's idea was to wrap the delicate filament, often made from bamboo or cellulose, inside a cardboard envelope before heating it.
Cardboard. Simple as that.
Deceptively simple. The cardboard acted like a protective mold. It gave the filament structural support during the intense heat, prevented breakage, and led to a much stronger, more uniform, and crucially, longer-lasting carbon filament.
Ah, I see. So it wasn't just a better filament, it was a better way to make the filament. Scalable, affordable.
Exactly. He engineered manufacturability. That's what made widespread electric lighting finally possible.
Which, of course, didn't go unnoticed. Edison must have realized this was the missing piece.
He absolutely did. By 1884, Edison recruited Latimer. And not just as, a bench worker. Latimer became Edison's chief draftsman, a key patent investigator, an expert witness in court battles.
So, defending Edison's empire using his deep technical and legal knowledge, he even translated technical documents from French and German, right?
Yes, he was indispensable in protecting Edison's patents worldwide. Which leads to this profound irony, doesn't it?
You mean a black man whose community was systematically denied wealth and property rights becomes the chief defender of one of the biggest IP empires of the age?
Precisely that. It highlights a systemic issue of the Gilded Age. Why didn't Latimer capitalize on his own patent?
Yeah, that's the question. If his filament process was so foundational, why wasn't he the titan of industry? Was it just impossible for a black inventor then?
It was incredibly difficult, bordering on impossible. Getting the capital, the factories, fighting patent wars against established giants like Edison. The discrimination was immense. So often, inventors like Latimer had little choice but to assign their patents.
Assign them. meaning sell the rights outright.
Essentially, yes. Sell the rights to their employers, often white-led companies, in exchange for a salary for security. They got a job, but sacrificed the long-term wealth, the equity.
So Latimer's invention fueled enormous corporate profits.
While he remained an employee. It's a stark example of how structural barriers channeled wealth generated by black ingenuity directly into white corporate structures.
It's a sobering perspective on innovation history, yet his expertise was recognized, at least within the field.
Oh, absolutely. His technical authority was immense. Edison himself asked Latimer to write the official book on the Edison system in 1890.
Incandescent electric lighting. A practical description of the Edison system. That's quite an endorsement.
It really is. And later in 1918, he was honored as one of the Edison pioneers, a very exclusive group, only 28 charter members.
And he was the only African-American member.
The only one. So his legacy, it's not just about the technology, the light bulb itself.
No, it seems his story forces us to see the invisible structures, doesn't it? The systemic inequalities that shaped who benefited from these foundational inventions.
Exactly. Latimer brought light to the world, literally. But his story also brings clarity to how innovation, wealth, and race were intertwined. It makes you wonder.
What else? What other technologies that we rely on every single day might have a similar story hidden beneath the surface, whose genius got absorbed uncredited?
That's the thought to ponder.
Yeah.
Where else should we be looking?